Hello, my name is Samuel Gompers, and I'm an American British Labor Union leader. And I'm just going to talk about myself for a bit. Here are some pictures of me. Yeah, and here is a map of Washington, D.C., and my house to the right, where I lived and worked for a bit. But I'm going to go back for a second, and I'm going to talk about how I got to the U.S. and how I got to where I am. So, when I was 12, I migrated to the US with my family, and we settled in the Lower East Side of Manhattan in New York City. At this time, I rolled cigars with my father in our basement to support my family. And then when I was 14, I worked making cigars, and at this time, I joined my first union. It's called the Cigar Makers Local Union. And this was when I was first introduced to unions, and I realized that the workers' rights and working conditions were really bad. And I realized that everyone had long hours, we were getting paid little, and everybody was working in horrible conditions. So I decided to found the Federation of Organized Trades and Labor Unions, which is later known as the American Federation of Labor. And I was their first president. I worked to achieve higher wages, shorter weeks, and better working conditions. I wanted equality for the rich and the poor. And I was their president from 1886 to 1924. I did take a break in 1895, but it was just for a little bit. Some of my accomplishments were like I just said, I founded the American Federation of Labor. I was the president for those years, but I created procedures for collective bargaining, and labor negotiations are still used today. And here's a picture of some people that were also a part of the American Federation of Labor. And to the right, you see my rival, Eugene Debs. He was the head of Industrial Workers of the World. He was a socialist, and I was an anti-socialist. I led the anti-socialist faction inside the AFL, and I opposed him. I said that socialism holds nothing but unhappiness for the human race, and I lost against him once, but for the majority, I did do better than he did. And yeah, so here is a high school. Fun fact, it's called the Samuel Gompers Industrial High School in the Bronx, New York. It was named after me, and it was founded in 1930, and it closed down in 2012. But going back to the first picture, this picture of Washington, D.C. and my home to the right, this is where I lived when I was the president of the AFL. When I was doing all that work concerning the unions, this is where I spent a majority of my time. This is where I lived for a majority of my life while I was doing all that work. So yeah, that is a little bit about me, a little bit of what I did during my lifetime. I hope that was full of information, and yeah, thank you for your time.